Hello, everybody. We're going to be talking about the Charlo brothers, Jermall and Jermell. They are both twins. They are both rising stars in boxing, and they both had some incredible fights this last weekend. Jermall was fighting at middleweight against Derevyanchenko, which is a very long, hard name to say. So forgive us if we mess it up, or if we
Right.
get the brothers confused. I know, Roy, you're used to dealing with this kind of thing because your nephews are named George. but
Right.
but I might slip up
Makes it very, very
on
easy.
who's who a couple times. um, so that's Jermall is middleweight champion right now, and he just fought Derevyanchenko in a really great fight that went to decision. And then Jermell with an E is light middleweight champion, junior middleweight. Holds a number of belts, and he just had a unification fight with Rosario. And they both fought on the same night, and that one was ended by knockout, and actually a body shot knockout. So let's talk about the fight that went to decision with Jermall Charlo first against Derevyanchenko. Roy, what are your thoughts on that fight?
Okay, it's two things that when they describe the Charlos is that they're legends in their own minds. Okay, that's first. They're legends in their own minds. They're good fighters. Okay, and when you look at the fact that say that, and people are wanting to say that they may be the best and the biggest challenge to, well, he may be the Jamal, right?
Mm-hmm.
May be the biggest challenge to Canelo, right? Now, you look up and you said, okay, that's Triple G in the mix. Derevyanchenko was in the mix. And in that particular fight, I believe what we actually seen was a result of what COVID actually did to two fighters that had no activity in the last year. Because everybody is saying that, oh, well, it was a great fight. It was a great fight because Derevyanchenko, he's an older guy, first of all.
Mm-hmm.
So quite naturally, inactivity would bother him a little bit more. And when it got to the point that he wanted to press some things, I just don't think that he had the confidence or the wherewithal to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Had he pressed a little bit more, he hit Charlo with a couple of nice shots.
No, there was a
Kinda
moment where
stuck
it
him.
looked like he was turning the fight around, and it got
Yes,
really
he
exciting.
did.
But then it stuttered. He'd start to really pick up, speed and land some great shots, and then the next round it looked like he was gassed, or he'd taken like one or two hits, even though he'd given 10, and then his heart just wasn't in it that round again.
Well, that's the result of what you have when you have a person that has not been active, who's been used to being active, not 6 or 7 months, 8 months, probably longer than that. I can't remember exactly when he fought. So you're basically looking at a year-long layoff. You come back at that age and you're in the gym, in the ring with a guy like a Charlo who's a little bit younger,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more active, and think he has a little bit more to prove. Now, if Charlo was in the ring with Canelo that night, and I don't care, and I know his trainers, and I know both guys' trainers, if they were in the ring with a guy like Canelo who stays in the gym, works hard all the time, doesn't seem to party, doesn't do things like that, I don't think he lasts 10 rounds with Canelo. I like Charlo.
He was hittable in the body, and
Yes.
he got caught with some hard ones.
He got caught with some hard, those same shots.
He shut down. It was weird for me on a technical level to see because he shut down Derevyanchenko early with the double jab, and that's because Derevyanchenko was coming in with head movement, and that was it. So if you want to shut down throwing nothing, yes. If you want to shut down pure head movement, there's really nothing better than a double jab because the first jab elicits the response, and then the second one you track his head to where he's going to go, and then you feint the first one, get the second one, and then you do what Charlo was doing, which is you feint the first one and then you throw a harder shot like a hook. But he shouldn't have been able to do that effectively because, like you said, Derevyanchenko should have been throwing something as he came in, even if it's just a jab. Yeah, and he wasn't.
The training part of that becomes, okay, I haven't been in the ring in a while, so I've got to go out. And honestly, the Charlo brothers have kind of been, they can have fights where they can start off early, they slow down in the middle like he did against, like the other one did against Harrison. But I know we're going to get to him in a minute, Jermell in a minute. But the thing about it is, so they have a history of that, right? Now,
Oh, do they? Okay. I never noticed that, actually.
And I'm thinking that I've always said they're kind of like an artist, right? An artist paints a stroke and he stands back and he looks at it. And that can cause you a problem if you're supposed to be the guy, if you're the guy in the ring and you, woman, stand back, whoa, look at that. Well, as you said, he could have, Derevyanchenko could have changed that fight had he had that in him to, okay, you're not gonna relax with me. Mm-hmm. He came back throwing shots.
He started striking with his head movement, but only for the middle rounds, and then sputtered again, and then really went for it. Like the last round, he really went for it, and he looked like his work volume looked like Marciano. But that was the last 30 seconds of the last round. That's not enough.
And you've lost 10 of 12 rounds.
Mm-hmm.
I think the judges was way off with the scoring. A little bit closer maybe. I think that was it, 118 to 130. So somebody, but it was like 115 to 113 what I seen. Charlo winning, not saying that. But I do believe this, lack of conditioning. And you have to wonder during this whole time, what were they doing? Okay, I know gyms were closed. And the Charlo guys, they have their own place. Their trainers and stuff have their own little gyms that they can work out of. So, but I think that in this case, the older fighter is the one that didn't do what he should have been doing in preparing for this fight. Now, maybe this fight, I don't think this was the fight that they had planned, to be honest with you. I think they had looked for a fighter that Charlo could fight just to get back. Like in my case,
okay, yeah. And Derevyanchenko, even if his conditioning isn't there or he's timid for whatever reason, he's going to be a tough fight regardless.
He's going to be a tough fight.
He's fought some killers and he's come out the other side.
And actually, a couple of fights, they thought he got beat in. That he won the fight, but he didn't get the decisions. But I think that when you look at a guy like Charlo, people expect him to be the guy. You're the king of the hill. So here you are. But I don't think they really wanted that fight. But I think it became a money thing, David. I really do. PBC didn't, or Fox, whoever's been carrying those fights in the past, Al Heyman, his promoter, I think he is, no crowds. So the money is not there for us to give you, $1 million, or guarantee you $2 million just to fight Roy. We'll guarantee you $1 million to fight this guy here. But if you want more money, we're going to have to do it on pay-per-view, which was the biggest mistake. And I've been saying this for a long time. It
was pretty expensive.
$75, and if you got fight, it was like
you have to put another fight in there if you want $75.
Well, they had 5 other fights that was a horror. I don't think,
but nothing to the point where it should have been $75.
No, this fight should have been $39.
Why not? Why not? Yeah, why not just make it accessible to if you're going $75, a lot of people are going to have to save up or give up like a night out with their buddies or whatever or give up a dinner with their wives.
Right, exactly. The children don't get the sneakers they want. Okay.
Yeah.
So the new Jordans are out the door, guys. You can forget about.
Sorry, kid. You're gonna have to get beat up at school. I gotta see the Charlo Brothers.
It's the Charlo Brothers. And kids would be like Charlo, Chaco. Who the Chaco Brothers? See, that's what you up against.
The thing they're going with is that they're twins, which is a novelty, but it doesn't really speak to things that are important to people. You can't really relate to that. You can't say I like them because he's a twin and I think twins are neat. Unless you're a twin, who cares?
Unless you gotta feed them. Unless you're the one who got to play porn, you gotta feed them. But the novelty was the Weaver brothers. Okay, there were 3 of them. They were triplets. That was a novelty. But it never transferred to financial ring success, if that makes sense. It never transferred to that, which takes us back to the Charlos and these guys. If they want to really become they call themselves the future of boxing, then guess what? You're going to have to jump in with some guys. I'd like to see him fight maybe a Daniel Jacobs. Don't cry about the money as much with Canelo. Ronnie Shields is trainer saying we'll fight him at 168, 175, or whatever. But I know what it's about now.
How do you think he'd do it against Triple G?
Charlo?
Yeah.
The Charlo that fought the other night gets beaten by Triple G easily. I don't think it'll be
even though Triple G slowed down so much. He still has the power, but he slowed down considerably.
But this guy, it's the things kind of like Lomachenko that you're not able, unless you are that a perfect fighter, you're not going to be able to do against him. And Charlo could not stop for a moment against Triple G. Not for a moment.
No, yeah, he couldn't sit back for rounds for sure.
No,
he couldn't forget his game plan either. He forgot about the double jab for a couple of rounds.
Yes,
he really did.
He had to come out from the beginning. And even though everybody keeps calling for the Triple G fight, for the third fight with he and Canelo, because why? They were good fights. Charlo needs one of those. This is not. I don't care what they do. This fight the other night is not the branded fight for him. You know, it was a decent fight, but he only looked in trouble every once in a while. Right. So now you can't. And if the number was jumped out to 250, 300,000 numbers and 400,000 in pay-per-view, hey, now they can come back and say, look, guys, I deserve to be in this. But I can tell you right now, knowing that, and we're going to get to this, but just knowing what I know, he would not get the money offer that he thinks that he deserves to fight a Canelo or even a Triple G, because who's going to guarantee him the money? It's not there.
Some fighters, though, when they get to that place, they do the opposite of the fighter you were talking about before, your fighter. They rise up and they fight to kind of a new skill level that they hadn't shown before. It would be interesting to give the chance to see if that happened with the Charlo brothers. I think they are both very skilled. I think that they have potential, both of them. It's like you said, they need the chance to show it or have it be proved that they in fact don't belong up there at that level.
Sometimes you shut your mouth, and now I guess we can move on to Jermell, right? Because
what do you mean by that? Like you think they're talking too much?
Well, I moved to Jermell because after the fight with Tony Harrison, right? Everybody thought he won the fight. I mean, literally, they said, everybody was watching the fight, thought he deserved to get the victory. Bell rings, bing, announcer comes up, and everybody says Harrison. He's like, I can't believe it. Oh, that's boxing, blah, 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 right? So rather than him saying...
I'm sorry, man. I just, I went to take a cup of coffee, and I just hit myself in the face with coffee.
Well, at least
I had to stop you there because I know people are going to address it. Like, did it splashed down and that just hit me in the eye? All right, I knew if I stayed quiet about it, that would be all the comments we're saying. I'm sorry. Continue on. I've composed myself. I'm ready to go.
That's a viral moment, David.
The sports-related injury. Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So, because he went into using the language and the cursing and all this stuff, people don't care about that. So he was able to avenge the loss against Harrison, which is what you do when you think you were the better man that night. Personally, I was one of the few people, I was talking on the phone with somebody. I said, he lost this fight. And the reason he lost it, it wasn't that I did it. He probably didn't he wasn't a better fighter that night, but I saw him stall more than a few times. And I saw Harrison come back with shots. Bam, 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 bam. Just enough. Judges sometimes a victim of what they're like most of us. It's what we've seen in the last minute. What they tell you all the time on the football team when a guy gets called by the referee for punching the guy. I'm not the referee, but the ref on the football. It's the last guy they've seen that gets the flag.
Yeah.
Judges are victim of the same thing. They remember the last 7, 8, 9, 10 punches that was thrown. They said, well, he did better than that. And sometimes they'll remember the last second of the round and judge on a guy can get beat up the whole round and then land a good shot and it's like, oh, he won the round. He won the round because the crowd is reacting. And because we don't have a computer in our mind that we can go back to what the first 2.5 minutes. What do you do? No, because there's too much going on. That's what happened to him in that Harrison fight. He don't want it. He's not going to admit it. And even I don't think, and his corner to his trainers, and they might be victim of just great trainers than they are great talent. I can say that because I know both guys. Ronnie Shields, 40-something years. Derek James, about 30. So I can say they really might be truly victims of great trainers. Ronnie Shields was was a B plus A fighter. Great, good fighter, really. In today's market, he's a great fighter. But look at what he had to face back then. Ronnie, you got to give credit because he came up into a tremendous lightweights were around. Derek James, super middleweight, same weight. But they took everything that they probably thought they didn't have to finish and brought into these guys. They're great trainers, two of the best young trainers out there. But Ronnie ain't so young no more. I ain't gonna give him that credit. But Derek but they're two of the best younger. Ronnie is from the George Benton school, Papa Smurf and all those guys back there. He came up with that with Lou Duva and all those guys. Derek out of Dallas, down with Curtis Coates and some other guys down some other guys in the Dallas region down there. They saw great fighters. So he learned it. So sometimes you can be a victim of having a great coach. So
you think that in that fight he could have stepped up and shown something, and he just didn't. I think he
should have knocked out Derevyanchenko. I do. I think he should have stopped him anyway.
Well, who are we talking about now? I was talking about Jermell with his loss.
But I'm sorry. You're talking about that. Oh no. Yeah. Yeah, he could have. Tony Harrison. Sometimes you can see in the guy's eye, he doesn't want to fight. But he goes like you just said a few minutes ago. You don't want to fight? Well, okay, I'll fight you now because you're not. He was standing back, watching his action, and as he did, Harrison just came off on him. Boom, 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 boom.
So that was his chance to prove that he had what it took.
That he had.
Is what you're saying. You didn't see a big change in the rematch?
I saw pretty much the same thing. Harrison wasn't a great fighter in the first place. He was just a decent fighter. He wasn't a great fighter. So what I seen was Charlo just take back what he thought was his. And that's basically what it was. And I think that his promoters and everybody, I give him credit because he made 2 paydays out of it. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with that.
That's always good. Yeah.
That's always good. So, but in that case, but that's the fight. And that's why everybody said, oh, you got to come back. You'll come back. You'll be like, no, you just lost one fight. But you have to break down in your mind and realize, why did I do it? Ronnie and those guys knew it. They knew what happened. Derek and those guys, I say both because they all kind of like combined together. One lives in Houston, one in Dallas. They train different places and they go in. But they know. And I'm sure they said, they told him, say, hey, look, don't let up. You cannot let up. Now this guy is the champion. So anytime you let up, he's going to keep this belt and you're not going to get it back. That's what happened.
Well, what did you think of the Rosario fight then?
Rosario was a guy that tried. They picked the perfect fight for Jermell, okay? Because he was the guy. And a lot of people kept saying, oh, Rosario. I said it would be a knockdown. I predicted a stoppage, knockout. But in all honesty with you, again, in my mind, I'm thinking of the Charlo that tends to let himself down. And maybe Rosario gets up and gets the knockout. But as the fight proceeded, you've seen who was the better fighter. Rosario tried. And because he hit him with an uppercut, oh my God, his whole face just turned around. It was like, how did he get up from that thing? Talking about Charlo hitting with it, right?
Yeah.
The kid came back out and people actually had the nerve to say he took a dive. And you know why they took a dive, David? I've been around this game long enough to know why people think he took a dive. You didn't think that Charlo was that great of a fighter. And either you thought Rosario was going to put up a better fight than what he did, rather. Not that he put up a bad fight, but he was just more of the victim, again, a better trainer and maybe a little bit better fighter that particular night. I've never said that, I would never say a fight. I would never besmirch a fighter because I know what it takes to climb, just to put your legs through the ropes and go in there is one thing. To face a guy, mano y mano, as they call it, right? So that's
what's so infuriating about Twitter. It's not just the fighters; it's the fans. You have someone who's never never even walked into a gym and had a light spar before. Like calling people get into the ring first, take a couple of shots, see what it feels like to have your lip busted or be hit in the nose and have tears streaming down your eyes before you start insulting people's manhood. Just do that first.
Exactly.
It'll give you a new perspective.
You see see 20. You say, I look on this. How many people you see about? I see 25 people. You know, there's only one. See, until you've been into that position, you can't say that. I've been in the gym with I've been punched one time in my life in a boxing match, and that would let me know then I didn't want to do it. So, you know, I knew.
But you're not calling people cowards, though. I mean,
no,
unless they are, but you know, that's so rare for that to actually happen.
And the Twitter thing, you know, I'd realized then my work would be outside the ring with my brother from a management standpoint, training, getting sponsors, or whatever I did, working with USO with boxers. I knew I'm like, okay, I love this sport that much, but my job is going to be on the outside of this ring.
and there's nothing wrong with that either.
And so when I see this stuff, and when you get these guys on these Twitters and Instagram to start believing this stuff, man, and that's, you know, it's great to have a following, but now you got 100, 200, maybe 500,000 followers on Twitter, but you couldn't sell 250,000 pay-per-views. So what does that tell you? What does that tell you? Mike Tyson came back and announced
it tells you it's ineffective because you're not actually showing what you could do in the ring.
Exactly.
But as far as the fight went, I felt that Jermell showed that he could be a very slick boxer, which is what we already knew.
Right.
The question is, where does he go from here? We'll talk about the body shot and exactly what happened there in a second. Before we get to that, though, because I don't want to meander around too much, what do you think is next for him? He can't fight his brother. That's no good.
No.
So if he moves up, he needs to wait for his brother to move up, or he could take a fight outside of the championship by moving up to middleweight.
No. If I'm him, this is what I would do if I'm his people, if I'm him. I look around, you survey the landscape, and say, okay, who's a fighter out there that I could probably catch weight with? Maybe if they gave him enough money, he would come up in weight. Mm-hmm. And in that, Sean Porter, the spoiler, is what I call him, Showtime. I mean, he's actually today's market. Showtime Porter has become my favorite guy, and I know people say, "Well, you would say that but no, this guy comes to fight every time." Before you remember, now he fought at 54. Before
so you think he's going to force a fight? He's going to insist that that Jermell shows what he has.
Yes, he's done it to everybody he's been in the ring with. Everybody he's fought. You know, he made Adrian Broner basically. You know, he got knocked down in the last round, but he made Adrian Broner basically, you know, everybody, that was the cover that was pulled off of Adrian Broner the first time. Forget what Pacquiao did to Broner. I mean, just that what he did to him, you know, the cover was taken off of him. So Porter, he's been in with the best of them, with Errol, I'm sorry. He had the fight with the young man a few weeks ago, and I still say since the comeback, that may have been one of the best fights that's been on television. And everybody said, "Oh no, you're crazy." No, it's not that. The young man from wherever he's from, Poland, Russia, Germany, I'm not sure where he's from. But the young boy, 22, 23, put up a valiant effort against a very, very good veteran that night. Give Porter that shot. And I don't know if they're under the same umbrella or whatever, but it doesn't really matter these days.
I haven't seen that fight. I need to check it out then.
Yes. Oh, you got to see it. Good fight for the young. The kid, he tried, man. This young kid tried everything. I mean,
well, that's what makes a good fight. It's not necessarily your record all the time, and it's okay to take some losses when you're coming up. I mean, Canelo did.
Yes, that's right. This kid was 22-0, and they knew he was over his head. But you know what? He said, I know I'm over my head, but you know what? I'm going to got to get my best against this guy because why?
Yeah, get the experience there too.
Get the experience, and you coming off the COVID hell. Anything could have happened, David. You know, everybody's been inactive. And the guy, they bought him, he flew a 12-hour flight to get here, you know, all the things in the bubble for the week and everything. He's heard all this stuff about who this guy's problem is. Hey, he came and he done it, finished it on his feet. So I'm saying, if I'm Charlo, Porter is a good name. And I think if they offer Sean Porter enough money, he'd come up, what did they put on, 47, 5 pounds, something like that, 52, 54, it would work. And give him a shot. Now, and what if you beat a guy like Sean Porter and do it very convincingly, now people say, okay, maybe this guy has it. Like you say, he's a good boxer. Porter is not the best boxer in boxing in that division. But you know what? He's the most active son of a gun you ever seen in the ring in a long time.
Yeah, you want memorable fights. You want people to tune in because they remember your last fight and it went amazing.
Yeah, they did.
So last thing, body shot. Now, to pre-frame this, a lot of people don't know how bad body shots can hurt. I think people realize now about liver shots, especially since MMA has become more popular, and you see a lot of kicks to the liver ending fights or knees. So they're a little bit more aware of it now. But shot to the solar plexus, I don't think people really understand it that much. So whether it ended the fight or not, and we'll get into that, like whether the fight could have continued, it hurts like a mother. It really does. So people need to understand that it is a real shot. And is how Mayweather kept the distance so well for a great deal of his fights, is he had that kind of breaking body shot that starts at the solar plexus and then just slides down till it almost hits your groin. And it feels like your insides are being torn open. So can it cause a knockdown? Yes, absolutely it can. Did it end the fight? Well, how about we get your opinion on that, since I have the feeling you kind of wanted to talk about it.
Listen, that was a result of it was a beat down. Okay. And I remember my mother used to always say different things when we come in the house, and, you know, you've been outside and you got into a rough and tumble thing with the kids next door out in the yard. And you come breaking in the house, running, trying to hide from the boys trying to get you down the street. And my mother always said, he who lives to run away lives to fight another day. And I believe that's what Rosario decided at that moment. Now, the whole thing about the solar plexus punch, that started around I think it was Bob Fitzsimmons and James.
Long time. Yeah.
A long time ago. That's what it first came up with, right? It's, you hit him with a solar plexus punch. I have never seen the fight, read about it enough, but I'm sure that's.
I've never seen it. I've seen it knock people down before. I can't ever recall it ending a fight. Mayweather knocked someone down with it, but the guy got back up.
I seen Roy Jones hit, I think it was Virgil Hill, with a shot to we were in Radio City Music Hall in New York, and that was a shot, man, to it sounded like a gunshot. Bam! That was it. You know, that was here. But it came, this punch was just a result of what had taken place the first 5 or 6 rounds. And this guy, in his head, I'm telling you, you don't use the term dive, but as a fighter, and you know this, David, you have to be able, you can tell, this is just not my night. I'm not. No,
just to be clear, I've never had a professional bout. But yeah, no, I've been training since I was 5 though. And I've had some really hard spars, and I've been hit in that exact way before. And you can you can tough it out. You just can't breathe. But then 5 seconds later, you shell up, you take the hits, and then you can breathe again. You can. It's questionable that it would end a fight, in my opinion. But maybe I've just never been hit that hard before there. I don't know.
Well, he gave Rosario a chance. The punch came in straight down the middle. And actually, Rosario was leaning away. So it's not like, you know, I've seen guys land that punch here, but the guy's body was into bam, right here, right? And maybe it even hit here and here. That's really a hard punch to land. It's easy to do with a jab, to land with a jab, but to hurt like that, no. I just think that Rosario decided, hey, look, I can get another fight somewhere down the line. I'll be a little bit better. I can train. And I just think he made up his mind. And to be honest with you, this corner might have said, go out there and try a little bit more, see what you got.
So you think he gave up, which is what makes it not a dive is that he didn't get paid to give up. Yeah. But in the end, you think he could have gotten to his feet. I would agree, but I'm not gonna say 100% on it, because I'm not in his body, and I don't know if something really weird. Sometimes really weird things happen. Like a guy's leg will go dead in MMA by getting a kick in a certain place, and then his nerve just freaks out. But I'm 90% on it that he could have gotten up again. The problem is that once he got up, he most likely would have been taken out within 5 seconds. And if he couldn't breathe. Sometimes he's in that mental state where he's thinking about giving up anyways. Yeah.
And when you're dealing with commissions, David, there's a difference in referee stopping the contest and you getting knocked out. because they can put you on a 180-day suspension as opposed to, okay, referee stop the fight, you get 60.
Oh, that's a good point. So it's biting into your income then.
Yes. You know, my brother used to tell me one time, he would have fights, especially when he was coming up, and he would say, I could hit a guy on the chin all day. The guy would just let me hit him. I'm dinging him. He said, but all of a sudden, when I hit one of them in the body, you heard, oh. So, and you're like, oh, okay. Now what are they doing? They come back and say, tell you what, now hit me here again, then I'm gonna go down. Don't worry about it, you know, because this is what does it. Mm-hmm. You know, like you said, it takes away the air. And I don't want to say, you know, if you're a Charlo fan, a follower, or whatever, you said, boy, great win for Charlo. If you're a boxing person, we said, didn't look to be that bad. But I know that it takes some punches, a result sometimes. People said Michael Moore could have gotten up because they didn't see it. George, the punch didn't look that hard. But
the 200 punches before it did, though.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. You go 200 before that, and that punch is there. Joe Frazier got up 6 times. Actually, he actually got up 7 times. But, you know, he got knocked down 6, so he got up 7. But that's just the way it is. Archie Moore told me one time when the Yvonne Durrell fight, and the guy came and asked him and said, man, Archie, what was you thinking when, you kept getting, you got knocked down 7 times, I think, 7, 8 times. And Archie said,
I know the fight you're talking about. What was that dude's name?
Yvonne Durrell.
Yeah, he beat him. He beat him after that. That was insane.
But the guy asked Archie, what was he thinking? He says, I was thinking I had to get up. See?
Yeah, I can't beat him if I'm on the ground. That doesn't, that doesn't work.
On the ground. Rosario, at that moment, I'm telling you, I believe his corner didn't look so disappointed. And, things that happen so fast in the corner, you go back. And sometimes a trainer says, let's try a little bit more, see what you got a little bit. And the guy may have said, man, I just don't have no more. I don't have it. And in his mind, he's shaking his head, but he go out, try and fight in. So he didn't quit on the stool. He quit on the floor in the ring, in the fight. So I have to believe that. Like I said, I'm not going to say that. I wouldn't dare say a guy took a dive. I don't think that the term dive, I don't even know where it comes from. I'm going to have to look it up one time. I don't know where it actually came from. But it's just one of those things that if you're going to take a beating for 5, 6, or 7 rounds, you don't have to take a dive. You understand? You put in it just gets to a point you said, man, look, I don't have it. This is not my night. You run away. And you say, yeah, I mean, it's
a smart decision then. But I bet we'll see a bunch of young boxers messing around with that shot from now on, though. No. which they should, because it's a great tactic to jab the body and then just kind of slash down the middle of the abs there. It hurts like hell. But it's not going to land a knockout though. Huh?
Well, the thing about that, trying to do that, you got to remember when you go down here.
Oh yeah, your head's open.
So vulnerable. You're wide open. So unless you got hands like Sugar Ray Leonard, Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather,
have the timing.
Get them back. Yeah, it's all about
or the reach. Yeah, you need the timing or need the reach. Yeah. I mean, that's why Hearns liked to use it so much. Yeah, Hearns could jab the body because his head was still too far away for you to hit.
Too far away to get it. That's the whole idea. So you can keep a guy off balance and you got that. But, that's nothing I would try to teach. There's an opening there. You try it, but don't go out trying to do it.
But be careful.
Don't go out trying to do that. That'll be good.
All right, up next, we have Israel Adesanya versus Paulo Costa. This fight was trippy. Israel Adesanya is the current champion in UFC, and then Costa was the contender, number 1 contender going after him. We predicted last time, Roy predicted that someone was going to end up adjusting and that it would be Costa. You were 100% right on that. I said that Israel controls people with his feints, and that I wasn't sure Costa. I said the way Costa fought, I thought he might be able to just take a couple hits and then keep going through because he's taken so much punishment in the past just to get close enough to throw a shot. And boy, was I wrong. Costa looked more scared than I've ever seen a fighter look of anyone else scared in his life. And Izzy just controlled him. Every feint that Izzy not through, but every time Izzy feinted, Costa looked like he was afraid he was going to die.
He reacted. Yeah. I mean, that's what happened because you said we talked about that, and it's like he got it once. I don't know whether sometimes the fighter can change his whole mind between the dressing room and the ring, and in this case, the cage. They can change. It's go like, okay, now I know I've been training, but I also said, I'm not going to fight this guy. I'm not going to go hit. I'm not going to go punch for punch with this guy. I'm going to go out and I'm just going to see. I'm going to react to what he does, and then you find yourself in there, and you don't know what you're going to do. It's like if you didn't know better, you'd thought Costa, this was like his first really big major fight. You know what I mean? That this guy was one of the best. Is one of the best. But Adesanya just made him seem like, hey, it's like a schoolyard bully, man. What? Fake up. The guy ducks. He says, no. And you're not going to do anything. So I'm as I said, he changed, but not changed for the better.
Well, that's what was so strange about it, is that if Costa went out there and fought like he normally fought first, and then Izzy picked him apart, and then he became timid and tried to box with him, a terrible idea. But if he did that, if it progressed in that way, then yeah, I understand that happening. But he came out there and from the first round looked like he was trying to outbox him. And that's just so strange. He was throwing way more jabs than he normally ever throws. He was feinting way more than he normally ever throws. You could tell that he was going to try to pressure him with a cautious step-by-step approach instead of coming in with strikes. The few strikes he actually got aggressive with were roundhouse kicks, and that's to the body, which is a really weird way to try to close the distance if you're not at that range yet. So usually he just ended up hitting him with his toes, and then Adesanya just kind of angled out and took him on his close side and even caught a few of them. It was really bizarre.
I really thought that the build-up made us think that we were seeing two of the elite guys was light heavyweight. Well, see, I always get these weights mixed up. What they like 180, heavyweight 185, right? So I think this was the
middleweight. These guys are middleweight.
They're middleweight. Let's see, it's middleweights. Okay, so you thought you were really? It was an anticipated matchup that just didn't match. To me, it's kind of like Derevyanchenko and Charlo. It just didn't match up. We didn't get what we thought we were going to get. And but I thought maybe the change would have been that Costa, as you said, would come out, do something a little bit different earlier, and then go into what he does best. Whereas opposite of, he just didn't do anything that he did good at all. Not in my opinion.
I saw a few moments where it started to look like he was going to be normal Costa, and then there was one moment where he was in range, ready to throw a shot, and it looked like Izzy was in trouble. I mean, who knows what Israel would have done then? Probably countered and gotten away, but Costa just stopped mid-punch without Izzy even threatening anything. Izzy didn't even need to feint. He had him up against the cage. That was the one time he managed to corner him right, and he just stopped and backed off. So if he was planning to be cautious in the first few rounds maybe, or the first minute, and then start exploding, I think what had happened in that scenario is that Israel had just dealt enough damage to get inside his head, had hurt him enough to where he couldn't even follow through on that game plan. With the one thing I did predict was the calf kicks. I mean, it's not brilliant to predict those.
You said that he would. Yeah, you said that.
Yeah, and he did, and it just. I guess Costa was so concerned about it, he got those like heat suction things on his calf. So he walked out with like 3 circles on each side of his calf. Yeah, I don't know if he thought that would dull the nerves or exactly what he thought that would do, but man, it was a disappointing fight, in my opinion, because I was looking to see a real fight. I'm not a big fan of the fight, but it was a great display of just how high level and the amount of skill that Israel Adesanya has. And I think that's the best you could say for this fight is that, Israel showed off what he can do. But it's not something I'm going to go back and rewatch ever.
Well, the drama came afterwards. I don't know if you watched it all, but the drama came.
Yeah, because he humped him.
Yeah.
I thought it was an accident at first. I'm like, did he fall and then need to get up? No, he just decided the best thing to do right now.
I seen fight. I've seen fighters do that. I've actually seen fighters, turn the guy around towards it, and then you go like, the guy go like, man, what the heck? And the guy in the crowd reacts, laugh and think.
I've seen it in the ring. I've never seen it after the fight. After the fight in boxing, you go and you hug the guy and you pretend either it's genuine and you gain respect, but even if it's not genuine, you like hug him and be like, you show that you respect the other person. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like afterwards, I was watching on the video, the streaming thing, and Alexandra, John Jones said something to him. And you look up, if you see there's a video of it, and he jumps up on the ring and he's throwing fingers to John Jones. Now, I read later that John Jones said something about his dad. I don't know. We don't know. But that's when you start dealing with the media, you got to be careful. But they said he said something about his dad either before or during the match or whatever. And he had to have been before or after because you can't hear without the screaming going on. So there's a drama now, perhaps, and that's what I said about MMA. If it ever was a sport, when you tell a guy, I'm going to kick your butt, you can literally do it here.
Yeah, you could walk up there and kick it. That would be something because there were all these instances of kicking the calf and then the nerve gives out lately. What if they discover that kicking the butt does the same thing? You guys have guys just trying to circle around, kicking each other's, You got
what do they call it? That gluteus maximus, I think is what they call it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the psoas and all that, and the perennial, the sciatic nerve. You got to kick the sciatic nerve, right? Yeah. And then you start seeing it drilled in martial arts classes. You just like slide to the right, kick the butt, slide to the right, kick the butt.
So that's why in boxing, it's illegal to hit a guy here because that nerve, all of a sudden, if you get the guy here, it's it's like you said, kidney punch.
Near the hip, or near the hip is bad too.
Yeah, the hip, but hitting the guy on the hip. Sonny Liston was notorious with that. He get a guy, you get whatever you gave him, he hit you legally up to the point. And it got to the point guys want to hold their hands up and listen, that's what you want me to hit. Then after a while, guys, no, those hurting now. So, it's you have to know the tricks of the trade in all these sports. And that's why I said I really thought Costa I expected them. If you read everything, I had him picked as my winner. I really did.
Oh, you had Costa picked as the winner?
I did. I thought he would win.
Oh, really?
Before going in, I just thought I really thought because I thought he would be the one to do more change. And sometimes when you change, you just throw another fight out. But he just didn't do enough for that. No,
this is one of those things where this is a sad fight because you didn't get to see the best of both fighters. That's why it's a sad fight.
I agree. A sad fight. Yeah. I agree.
And if we had seen the best of both fighters, then that would have been fantastic. I always mess up this guy's name too, even though it's an easy one. It's either Gustafsson or Gustafsson. Gastelum, there it is. Go watch Adesanya's fight with Gastelum. And then you'll see what you wanted to see this fight.
See this fight, okay?
Yeah, as it is. Hopefully, Costa gets another chance at some point, and he comes with a better game plan and a better mentality, and you get to see a real fight, and then hopefully no one humps anybody. So we can only hope.
Well, yeah, you can only hope, right?